Hi, everyone. Does your child ever lean up against you, run around the house, throw themselves up against the wall, or throw themselves onto the floor, maybe scream, hum, engage in certain behaviors that you just don't really understand? And sometimes it can get really frustrating. And sometimes you don't know what to do. And it can get really problematic if it's at the end of the night or early in the morning. So I want to introduce a concept of deep pressure and the nervous system. And sometimes when our nervous system is on overload, we begin to engage in behaviors to try to help our bodies. So sometimes if we're feeling really tense, and you can just think of yourself, if you're feeling really tense, you might do certain things to try to help relieve that stress. So you might start to hum, you might start to sing, you might, maybe go for a walk. You'll do things to try to support your nervous system because in the past when you've done it, it's really helped calm you down. Our children with autism don't always know what to do, and so they'll engage in behaviors that they feel could be helping them. So, if they feel really stressed out in their environment, they might begin to hum. They might, scream. If they're, overloaded with, the lights and the noise and, work material and people and constant talking, then they might start to engage in behaviors to help their nervous system. Sometimes children need sensory input. So sometimes they need, to feel things up against their body, or they need that pressure. And so we'll find some of our kids will hit their chin, or they'll put pressure, up against somebody, or maybe they'll run into the wall, or they'll throw themselves onto the floor to get that impact. And so one of the things I want you to try is to provide some deep pressure. So, this might be like arm squeezes, and you can vary the pressure based on how your child is responding to you. So some children may, if you do a light touch, they can feel it right away, versus another child may need really that, kind of deep massage. Doing massages is great as well. So let's take a step back. So children may be engaging in these behaviors that you are experiencing at home because of their nervous system. It's on overload. And, we have this concept of this fight and flight that you've probably all heard about, that sometimes when, let's say you tell your child, hey, it's time to eat, they scream and they run the other way. So yes, it's a demand that we're trying to place on the child, but at the same time, it could be that the child is just unable to, take in any more sensory information at the time, that they're too stimulated. And so we want to help bring the child to a relaxed state before we really put any more demands on them. And this could be any demand, really. Sometimes you'll find a child is humming a lot, kind of to just close off the world from them a little bit, because their world is just too demanding. There's constant, demands from teachers or from parents. So when we look at deep pressure stimulation, we're really looking at supporting the child's ability to regulate that sensory system. And so by doing so, we could be helping the child promote that relaxation that they may be not experiencing, or they haven't experienced. And it could also be that they have a really hard time getting to a relaxed state. And if you've ever been really stressed out, you probably know what that feels like. You just can't seem to relax, and it takes a lot for you to relax. Or you'll go to bed and you're so tired, but you just can't sleep because your body is just so overstimulated and you're having a hard time. So we want to help with that. And by doing so, we're going to help reduce that stress level. We're going to help the child become more focused and pay more attention. And that's usually a huge challenge that we face when we're teaching children with autism, is their focus and attention's not there. They're very distracted. And sometimes when someone is really distracted, it could be because of their nervous system and they're just, again, on overload. And again, we need to help them calm down. So children with autism have, trouble with sensory processing. So sometimes their nervous system is overactive and sometimes it's not responding enough. And so if that's the case, we need to be able to support the learner in a way that we're doing the right thing for them. And so I'll give you an example. If your child is overstimulated, so there's a lot of noise and there's a lot happening, and you're very go go go, the child might feel that stress. And so if I take the child and have them jump on the trampoline or tickle them, that might stimulate them even more, which is actually not the right thing to do in that moment. Versus if they are not getting enough stimulation, you might find that they, again, run up against a wall and hit themselves, or they bang themselves really hard. Again, because they need that sensory input. And so by applying deep pressure and supporting the child, you're giving them the input that they need, and that will help with reducing the stress, and it will decrease those problem behaviors that we see and calm them, because that's really potentially what they're seeking. It'll help with their focus and attention. So some of the things that you can try is deep pressure on the arms, on the legs, on the feet, and you can rub their back, like just really nice massages. I like to use a very calm voice. This really helps calm the learner down. So if they're overstimulated, I don't want to be yelling and screaming or using a very high energetic voice. I want to be very calming and soothing. My voice may slow down, and I want them to kind of become in rhythm with that with me, as opposed to if they aren't very stimulated, then I might, jump up a little bit more and jump on the trampoline and sing and dance and all that stuff. That's okay, because I'm trying to stimulate them. So you really have to focus on what the learner or what the child needs in that moment. So, if you're teaching, this is really crucial, because your success is going to really be determined by that, really be able to read the learner. But at home, if you find that your child is really struggling to go to bed, is not, able to wind down, you really need to incorporate that kind of winding down routine where we can really put maybe some calm, relaxing classical music, maybe dim the lights, maybe a nice warm bath before, things like that could really support your learner or your child. At the center, we use, a calm room or quiet corners. So we have little reading nooks, and we have a quiet room that if the environment becomes too much for our learner, we're able to pull them away into a quiet space where they can really regulate themselves and calm themselves back down. We might, again, dim the lights, have very calm music. Another thing to really pay attention to is just the amount of distractions in the environment, the clutter, the noise. So keeping a really clean environment, not a lot of stuff, for example, if you're teaching, not a lot of stuff on the table, maybe in their bedroom, not a lot of toys, not a lot of things, keeping it very organized for them, just to help with that, with regulating themselves and staying calm. So if you find that, bright lights and noise and crowded places and just maybe the lifestyle that you have at home, maybe it's go, 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 dropping this kid off, going to the grocery store, that lifestyle might be too stimulating for your child, to just find times throughout the day to really calm your child down. If you find that your child is seeking sensory input by leaning on people or crashing into furniture, then again, you can find ways of doing deep pressure and massages to really help with stimulating those areas. And then things that I like to do if you find that your child is just overstimulated, tensing a lot, lots of vocal, stimming, stereotypy, sometimes putting an ice pack just on the back of the child's neck, just for, a couple of minutes. That will really help calm the nervous system. So an ice pack, maybe some cold water on the face, sometimes that really helps. And then, of course, if your child is running around or super active or super tense, getting them to that calm state. So laying them down, giving them that deep pressure, a big, deep hug where you just squeeze them and you just let them really calm down. They'll feel really good after it. If you feel that the noise is too much, again, taking them to a space where they can find that calmness and quiet, so that they can feel better. Give those a try. See how you find, does the ice pack help? Does the quiet, calm, relaxed state impact them later in the day? Doing it 2-3 times a day, do you feel that you find that your child is more calm and that they're more focused? Eye contact is better, and we found that to be the case. So give it a try, and I hope it works for you.